Good morning. This is the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Wednesday, October 9th. Looking at precipitation the past 7 days, not much across the Great Basin, barely anything at all across the southern half, some light amounts, a tenth of an inch or so to the north. It was across western Wyoming and the highest terrain of central Idaho mountains that we see some areas of green here, a half inch to 3/4 of an inch. In terms of percent of normal, you can see areas in the red, the light shade of red are 25% of normal, the dark brick shade, basically 0 to 5% of normal precipitation. So we've dried out quite a bit, which could provide some good burning conditions across some of our central and southern areas. We're still running our ERC map, and we can see a lot of the ERCs across the southern 2/3 and especially the eastern half of Utah are in the red, the 80th to near the 90th percentile, in some cases above the 90th percentile. Some breezy, dry weather over the past few weeks has contributed to that, but there's a fine line once you get from about Provo northwards and going into much of Idaho and Wyoming that are conditions are definitely in the green and still borderline dry and still rising and drying out across a good portion of Nevada. Snowfall over the past 24 hours, quite a bit across the mountains of central Idaho. The dark blues and yellows are anywhere from like 4 to 8 inches of snow, some locally higher amounts close to a foot of snow in some spots. As you head further south, not so much. Snow cover on the ground. You can see here across the mountains of central Idaho that light shade of blue. So basically about 4 to 8 inches of snowfall in the highest elevations, mainly above about 5,500 feet. Also across the higher terrain of Wyoming as well, above, let's say, 6,500 feet above the valley floor. Satellite imagery shows a deep low pressure system, a very strong one, more typical of December than early October, still providing for more showers and mostly snow here in the mountains of central Idaho and moving into western Wyoming. And there's a thin line of clouds here. This is a cold front. Ahead of this front, still warmer, still drier with southwest winds, but behind the front, cooler with much higher humidity and some showers, which could be moving into far northern areas of Utah by the end of the day. Otherwise, high pressure building in behind it. So for this afternoon, you can see the low pressure and its associated moisture through Idaho, Wyoming, and into far northern Utah. Winds shifting out of the northwest. It's very dry across the western portion of the Great Basin across Nevada. You can see here dispersion in the white, excellent overall ventilation or dispersion. That's combining with decent mixing heights out of the northwest. Still some strong southwest winds here across far southern Utah, parts of the Arizona Strip. Mixing heights in the yellow to reds indicating several thousand feet above ground level. Now on Thursday, as this low moves on out, we'll still be in a broad northerly flow, but conditions will dry out. Because we're still in the vicinity of low pressure, most areas will continue to have excellent overall dispersion here in the white. Some less dispersion here in the yellows and reds. As we go into Thursday, looking at the winds, transport winds still out of the north, diminishing a little bit, but still excellent vertical mixing in the yellow to orange, at least 3,000 to 5,000 feet above ground level in most areas. It's not on Friday until we see the dispersion decreasing a bit. Areas in the red indicate pretty poor overall dispersion or ventilation. Yellow starts to get a little worse. Best areas will be in the south. It's because a ridge of high pressure tries to build in, so it'll weaken the winds. It'll lower the subsidence inversion a little bit, but still plenty of sunshine, and things will be warming up in the lower elevation, especially southern Nevada, southern Utah, the Arizona Strip. Still some good dispersion down there. Winds overall fairly light, but still maybe 10 to 15 mile an hour winds, some higher gusts across our southern areas. Vertical mixing starting to decrease, but still maybe in the yellows to oranges, anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 feet above ground level. In the green, a little bit less than that. The Utah forecast for clearing, which is very similar to dispersion, shows excellent conditions in the red today and tomorrow, but a sharp decrease in overall vertical mixing. We see those areas in blue on Friday. Precipitation over the next 3 days. You can see some light amounts here, higher terrain of Idaho into western Wyoming, maybe a tenth to a quarter inch, and that'll probably be good for 1 to 3 inches of snow up there, as well as possibly the Uintas and some higher terrain in northern Utah as colder air moves in. Otherwise, most other areas continue to stay dry. And the dryness continues in most areas on Saturday. Weak high pressure building on in, a weak storm system in Oregon and Washington. Dispersion starts to decrease, more areas in the red and yellow as we see here, but an improvement in dispersion, a lot more areas in the white through here. That's because that high is kicked down, and a trough of low pressure, a dry one with very little in the way of clouds or moisture, will increase the winds and increase the vertical mixing as well on Sunday. On Monday, that system moves out. We see some weak high pressure ridging building in, stronger high pressure building in on Tuesday, so the overall dispersion starts taking a turn for the worse, where you see the areas in red and yellow. Precipitation accumulation, days 4 through 5. This will be basically Saturday afternoon through Monday afternoon. And then Monday afternoon through Wednesday afternoon, still nothing. We are starting to see some moisture come up from the south, and a series of storm systems starting to approach the Pacific Northwest. And this could change our weather patterns. We stay dry through day 7 for another week, but then afterwards, so the 8 to 14 day outlook shows a transition to much wetter conditions from the Pacific Northwest through most of the Great Basin, except maybe far southeastern areas, cooler than normal temperatures. So it looks like the late fall storm track will start to get a bit more active across the northern tier states as we go from October 16th to the 22nd. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.